What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another 10 Nintendo Switch games to buy now before they are super rare. It's been a while before we've done this one, but we've got a lot of cool games to talk about. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And we're starting off with a game that a lot of you guys already know, and that is Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Collection. I might have already talked about this before, but I think it needs to be brought up again. Any game that I talk about more than once, then yeah, we need to talk about it, because this game is already going for obscene amounts on the secondhand market. And if you want to potentially have something that's super crazy valuable in the future, you might just have to drop the amount for it. Now, I know it's kind of weird saying that because the game is already rare right now. Like, you can't just see a wild Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster out in the streets on the Nintendo Switch or the PlayStation consoles. But at the same time, if you pick it up now, maybe later down the road, it's worth way more. This could be one of those games that in 10, 15, 20 years from now, you're looking at over $1,000 plus, like we've seen with some of these older games from the GameCube era or even from the Super Nintendo era and beyond. So Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Collection, hefty price right now, but at the same time, you might be able to make that back and then some, or just have a piece of history with you. Now, moving on to the next one is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which I think we spoke about before, but I want to give a little bit of an update because the price on this doesn't seem to be going really down. It's not like you can get this game for like 15, 20 bucks, Nintendo first party game, and it's a title for the past decade. This is the Donkey Kong game for the Nintendo Switch, or for Nintendo more like it, from the Wii U all the way to this point, and it's steadily sold pretty much every single year, racking up a pretty sizable amount of sales at this point. So I don't know if Nintendo's going to have a brand new 2D Donkey Kong game anytime soon. Heck, they could have something, but we already have Super Mario Bros. Wonder coming out later this year. Maybe there's something at some other point, but I'm guessing that there isn't a ton of production of this game, despite it being all over the place. So you might just want to be careful here, especially because the older cartridges of Donkey Kong Country, some of the stuff that they've done before, are rare in the past when it comes to the cartridge-based Donkey Kong game. So you might want to just go ahead and pick up Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze if you haven't already done so, at a good price right now, because I don't see Nintendo mass producing this or this being readily available way into the future. But before we get back into the list here, guys, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get the latest Nintendo Switch and RPG content. Now, next up is a game that I didn't even know had a physical on the Nintendo Switch, but it's there for you, and that is Stardew Valley, one of the biggest indie successes of all time, one of the biggest games on the Nintendo Switch. Has sold a staggering amount of copies, and there is a physical copy for you to buy. And the reason why I say that it could be rare in the future is because it's Stardew Valley, because it's an indie title. Clearly, the production of something like this isn't going to be something that's vast or big, because it is a smaller end game, despite selling really well. But the main market for this is just going to be digital, on sale on the eShop, just picking it up for a good price. Most people probably aren't going to buy a physical copy of an indie title like this. So if you can get the game for a solid price right now, to where something in maybe 5, 6, 7 years isn't even a thing or gone at this point, there could be some extra value added into this game or tacked on later down the line. Plus, it's a really good game as well. Stardew Valley is a really good iconic indie game, so you might want it just for that. Now, moving on to the next titles here, we've got some double games to go over. That's Mario Party Superstars and Super Mario Party. Then we'll get into the next game in just a bit. So Mario Party Superstars, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about the Mario Party games before, but the Mario Party games from the GameCube are rare. CD-based GameCube games, those are rare. Some of them are more rare than others. Now, Nintendo does not do updates for Mario Party games. A lot of people have been asking for DLC, asking for this, asking for that. Nope. What you get is what you get. Now, they did get a big update for Super Mario Party that added in the extra online features and stuff like that that was not in originally. But when it comes to the actual Mario Party games and content, it's all right there. Now, even with the newest copies of Super Mario Party, they might have had that update on the cartridge. So some people, if you've bought it more recently, that update might already be on there. So everything is set. Mario Party Superstars, I think, is the best rated Mario Party game, or one of the best rated Mario Mario Party games ever, and it has all those classic games redone with good online multiplayer, and you just don't know when Nintendo's going to make that next Mario Party game. It's just going to come out of nowhere at some Nintendo Direct, but usually these games are kind of rare, especially once again the GameCube games. So I do think that Mario Party Superstars and Super Mario Party are good pickups for way down the line, especially portable Mario Party. I mean, that's pretty cool too, right? Next up is Sonic Mania plus Team Sonic Racing Double Pack. Now, this game is interesting because I was doing a little bit of research on this, and of course, you guys all know about Sonic Mania. Great game and everything. Team Sonic Racing, not necessarily that great, but apparently it's both games on one cartridge, not a downloadable code like the Mega Man stuff or the Resident Evil stuff, but both games on one cartridge from what I read in the description. So if that is the case, that makes it one of the more unique games on the Nintendo Switch to have two retail releases on a single cartridge that you can pick from, all feature complete, update complete, because they're not doing any updates for those games. So that would be pretty cool to have something like that, and that could be something worth more down the line. Now, Sonic games never really are too expensive outside of some of like the Saturn stuff or some of the obscure stuff out there, but I think that it's worth noting, since that is on one cartridge, that it could be something unique in the future to hold on to, and it's a good price right now as well. Or if you're just a Sonic fan and want to play a Sonic racing game in Sonic Mania, obviously there's Sonic Mania Plus that has more content, but still, you're getting solid games here. Next up, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. The price on this game has held steady, and one thing about old school Legend of Zelda games, especially cartridge-based ones, those ones usually go up in price. They have went up in price quite a bit with these old school Legend of Zelda games. I expect Link's Awakening to hold steady at that higher end price, get some discounts here and there. Nintendo sold a lot of copies for this style of game, but I do think that once we move on to the next Switch and a number of years down the line, there's not going to be free-flowing copies of Link's Awakening everywhere when it comes down to it. I mean, you're seeing certain games that Nintendo's released in the Zelda series before on cartridge, kind of rare at this point. So The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, the game that I think I've already talked about before, absolutely this might be the time to pick it up, especially in a transition phase when you just don't know how many more of these they are going to produce as they move on to whatever is going to be next. Next up is a game that's probably going to end up being rare in the future because Nintendo's not going to make a lot of copies of them, and that's Pikmin 1+2. That's coming out this September on the Nintendo Switch. So Pikmin 1+2, to me, it's very similar to Metroid Prime Remastered or some of these other GameCube games that are coming. Anything that's from the past when it comes to GameCube or when it comes to what's happened before PS1, those type of remasters, you always get them. You don't got to buy it day one, but you always get them, have your eyes on them, because there's probably not going to be a lot of them produced. And in due time, they're going to run out of the copies and people are going to want that physical copy, especially if the game is complete on the cartridge. And that's exactly what Pikmin 1+2 is, complete on the cartridge. You can have the full slew, the full onslaught of Pikmin on the Nintendo Switch physical by September, between Pikmin 1+2, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and Pikmin 4. All of them there. Wouldn't that look nice on the shelf and could potentially be worth something a bit more than, I think, the $50 price tag that they're asking for? So to me, that's a no-brainer. Anytime they release these GameCube games, always gotta pick those ones up. Next up is some anime love, Demon Slayer, the Hinokami Chronicles. And the reason why I have this game up is because the game has held its value pretty well. Now, it's been discounted to about $40 in some places, and I think sometimes even cheaper when it comes to other platforms. But remember, the Switch platform came out a little bit later with that game. So I do feel that some of these anime games are going to be hard to find in the future that are solid games and maybe really good for the fans. Not necessarily the best reviewed games or anything, but solid arena fighters, solid titles that you can pick up and play. And I think everything is also, for the most part, on the cartridge. There might be some updates or downloads for characters or something like that, but for the most part, I remember since it came out later, a lot of it is on that cartridge. So I think that in the future, especially with the popularity of Demon Slayer blowing up to untold levels, I don't think there's going to be a bunch of Demon Slayer games over and over and over and over again. It doesn't seem that way, like Naruto, for example. So I do think that picking up Demon Slayer at a reduced price down at this point, $40, $30, whatever you can get it, check that out, because I think in the future they're gonna be like, oh yeah, remember that Demon Slayer game that came out? It had pretty cool graphics and everything. Want to be able to play that game anywhere? Yeah, the Switch version is gonna be the one that people are gonna want to check out. So I do feel that Demon Slayer is a game to watch out for and pick it up if you can get a good price on it, because it could be rare in the future. Now, last but definitely not least is another anime game, Fairy Tail. This game apparently is holding its value. It's 60 bucks. I think you can find it a bit cheaper in some places, but there's not a lot of copies floating around there, or it's full price. What does that tell me? One, they didn't make a lot of copies of the game. Two, it's gonna hold its value. It's a anime game, but it's not an arena fighter, thank God. It is a action RPG type of game. So I do think way down the line, they're not making a bunch of Fairy Tail games, very similar to Demon Slayer. Way down the line, this could be a game that just for no reason, you can't find any copies anywhere, because it's already kind of rare right now at this point, and it's holding its value of $61 or so on Amazon. A lot of copies that you can buy, but it seems like for some reason, the price isn't going down like some of these other games on this list. So to me, red flag already up when it comes to potential rareness. So yeah, if you like the anime, it's even better. Maybe you've already got a copy of it, so of course hold on to that physical copy of the game. I know there was some downloadable stuff that was kind of sleazy in this game in terms of what they did with DLC or microtransactions and some stuff like that, but I'm not exactly sure the state of it now, but I'm pretty sure you can pretty much play the whole game off the cartridge at this point. So that's definitely a good thing. That is going to be my 10 plus games here if you count the multiple double pack games that we talked about. Pikmin 1+2, Sonic Mania, Mario Party Superstars, a lot of other games in there. So it's a little bit more than 10, but I do think that it was 10 good ones. Now, remember guys, if you want me to go over any games, feel free to let me know your suggestions in the comment section. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other videos on the Buy Now series right here on screen. We got a whole playlist. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you for the next one. Peace.